What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here, joined by Kevol at Tim Hortons, Dilly Vanilli, and of course AC, the first time he's been on a predictions video this year. Kev, we're gonna need you to go on mute, bro. Tim Hortons is getting a little rowdy back there, so we're gonna have to get you to go on mute. Yeah, we'll get to you when we have to talk about one of three things: the Cardinals, the Seahawks, or Ben Roethlisberger. We'll go to you directly when we have to talk about those things, but we need to get to AC right now because he hasn't been on a picks video. AC, talk about what you've seen this season, your Eagles, and how you've been doing in the picks.
Yeah, the picks, I guess I'm second. I don't know. I'm in a pick'em pool that I'm 23-8 in 2 weeks. I think I might have changed some picks that were different from what we've been doing that I've been giving you guys. But yeah, no, it's been pretty solid. Betting's been solid against the spread. Season's been good. I like how the Eagles looked week one, obviously, and then last week, you know, say what you want, but there was just turnovers that cost us the game. But I did like how we moved the ball, and I did like how our defense played. But the Chiefs, in my opinion, are upper echelon right now. And obviously what I have taken away from this season is that the AFC is miles above the NFC. That's for sure.
All right. So, guys, what are we looking forward to in week number 2?
There's not a lot of great games.
Or 3, I should say.
There's not a lot of great games going on this week, unfortunately. There's some good games. There's some games I'm looking forward to. Atlanta, Detroit for sure. That famous Cleveland-Indianapolis matchup. That's going to be a banger. Let's see here. The Giants getting destroyed, basically. Seahawks Titans, that should be an interesting matchup. But really, this is kind of a bad week for games. If Bradford plays, that Bucks Vikings game will be good too. But just want good football.
Kev?
Seahawks Titans will be a good game. I think the Falcons Lions will be a very interesting game. I think it's going to be interesting to see. What I'm most interested in is who our survivor picks are going to be, because there's some really interesting options this week.
Yeah, there are. There's not a lot of obvious options this week, actually. So we're going to have to kind of stretch it and see who we're going to take. But let's go ahead and let's start with the first game of the week, which is the Thursday nighter. The LA Rams go to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. LA 1-1, had a tough loss to Washington last week. Very close game. It was a pretty good game. And the 49ers, they lost a close one to the Seahawks. It was a good game. A good game, I guess, if you're a Seahawks fan, to see them at least win. But not a very entertaining game. Carlos Hyde had a great game. He was running the ball very well. And he's been having a great season. But besides that, the 49ers offensively don't have much. They just don't have much right now. Their defensive line, really, really solid. They forced a lot of pressure on the Seattle Seahawks. But, you know, someone's knocking on my door. Can you guys take this game for me?
Okay. I'll take it. I was eating a fry, but okay. So we have Rams 49ers. Rams lost a hard one to the Redskins last week. I actually picked the Rams to win. So we won on here. Almost paid off if it wasn't for a 2-minute warning touchdown by the Redskins. 49ers, they played a decently put-together game against the Seahawks, and by that, I mean they kept the score close. I mean, it was 12-9. We'll talk about more of that in the Seahawks preview later on. But the 49ers attempted to do something out there. They stayed with a team we had in the NFC Championship game for about 58 minutes, for most part, or for about 50 minutes or so. This game, I think, is also being aired on Comedy Central. Not 100%. I think that's still to be determined. But I think this is going to be – I picked the Rams on this game. The Rams still have a really good defense. I think that's the biggest strength in this game. It's one of the more underrated, low-key ones in the league right now. That's what's getting them some big production right now. And I know they gave up 27 points last week, but those were on some really good plays. The 49ers do not have a lot of talent on the offensive side. Let's be honest. Hoyer threw for 99 yards at interception and still almost won, but it was 9 points. You can't win in the NFL if you're putting up 9 points a game. So I got to go with the Rams here to start off. AC, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think this is easily a Rams. I actually really like. Obviously, you talked about the defense of the Rams, but I actually like how Goff's played. He's got a 100 quarterback rating right now. Decent completion percentage. Just 1 interception in 2 games. I think the way they hung in against the Redskins, and the Redskins really wanted that win because of losing to the Eagles, and obviously expectations with that offense. The defense got better, the Redskins. So I do like how the Rams held in there in that game, because obviously they came off a huge game against a really crappy team. So to, lose by a touchdown late to a team that's pretty decent, I think was good for them. And then, I can't get around San Francisco is growing, but they haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games. I think their defense might have looked good, but I think a lot of defenses will look good against that, whatever the Seahawks offense is now, with that horrible, probably the worst offensive line in the league, hands down. I'm surprised. Seahawks got away with one because that is not a good 49ers football team. I think the Rams handedly win tomorrow. That's my pick.
Did you guys all pick? Just curious. I didn't.
I haven't picked yet.
Okay.
I'm tempted here. I'm tempted. It's at home. It is at home. Carlos Hyde is a beast. But
I think Tim Hortons is calling you not to do it. I think they're calling you not to do it.
I just think the Rams have too much. Man, it's gonna. I would cover the spread. I say cover the spread.
But it's 2.5. There's no way they cover. It's 2.5.
Hey, they can lose by 2.
Yeah. Okay.
They can lose by 2. Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
maybe.
They can lose by 2.
28-27, baby.
I'll take a 12-10 win for the Rams.
Maybe 8-7.
12-10. Holy shit.
I'm really tempted to take. I'm got to be honest. This game's in San Francisco. I like Kyle Shanahan. Carlos Hyde shows a lot. This may be one that the Rams get tripped up on.
Have you seen their crowds in San Fran? I don't think it's much of a home game, especially on a Thursday. It's going to be bizarro how many people are not going to be there tomorrow. That's my hot take.
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the 49ers.
Wow.
I'm going to do it. I'm picking the 49ers.
Man, we're getting these trolls again. They've come back. They're disliking the video. Hey, guys, help us out. Like the video. Thank you. This guy comes to my door. He's like, vote for me for freaking floor president. I'm like, bro, I'm right in the middle of a freaking video.
Vote for him, man.
Can you not hear me yelling into a microphone right outside the door? Anyways.
First it's floor president, then it's prime minister, right? You got to start.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I was like, he's like, I'll put PS4 in the main room. I was like, I have one here, but whatever. I'll vote for you. Cool. All right, leave. All right. So anyway,
holy shit, we are getting slammed by dislikes.
Yeah. So like the video, guys. Support us, even though it's just one guy that's being an asshole. But besides that, I mean, he gets off with that stuff. So Rams, 49ers. I'm going with the 49ers. I've been impressed with what the Rams are doing, but this is a divisional game, and sometimes teams need to actually win a game during a season. I know it's hard to actually say that, but yeah, 49ers are going to win at least a couple games this year, and this is a game that I have them winning. It's against a divisional opponent. I think the 49ers have been really good at running the ball. They'll be able to do that in this game pretty effectively, and I think that's what's going to get them their points. They're not going to be able to pass it very well, but defensively, I've been impressed. Their defensive line looks good. I think they put some pressure on Jared Goff. It's at home. And I think they win a tight, close defensive battle.
Thank you.
So
Mitch,
everyone going with the Rams except for me?
No, I'm taking the 49ers.
Kevin went with the
49ers.
I don't know about Anthony, but there are 2 teams in the league right now that have yet to score a touchdown through 2 games. And the last time that happened, 2005 Rams, 1-15. Just put that up. Just put that up. But go ahead.
Okay. Next game, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is in England / London. So I don't know if there's really a home field advantage. I guess there's Jaguars fans by now because they've been playing there for a couple of years, but it is what it is. The Ravens come in and the Jaguars come in with 2 of the best defenses. Jaguars kind of let that one go in the second half. They had a terrible second half. Titans ran away with that game last week. The Ravens have looked consistent both weeks, solid defense all the way through, forcing a ton of turnovers every week and, getting a lot of pressure after the quarterback. Secondary looks revived and better. Their offense, Joe Flacco had a slightly better performance week 2 and was making a little bit more plays. Javaris Allen, Buck Allen, he's looking pretty good in that role. He's kind of playing multi-dimensional. He's playing a little bit of Woodhead's role, taking a lot of snaps away from Terrence West, and he looks like he's their number 1 back right now, and actually he's played pretty well. I do want to see the Ravens kind of advance in terms of their passing game. I think for them to be a playoff team, that needs to get a little bit better, but it's not going to happen against the Jaguars. This game is going to come down to, of course, what offense can actually move the football, because I think both of these defenses will have great games in this one. The Ravens, they do kind of scare me down the road because they continue to get injured week after week after week, but I think they're the more complete team in this one. They have the better coaching, and I think that at the end of the day, that's why they take this game. And at the end of the day, they have Joe Flacco, and the other team has Blake Bortles. So I'm going with Joe Flacco. He's just not going to force and throw those picks that Blake Bortles may or, will. The Ravens, the way they've been forcing turnovers, that's why I'm taking them in this game. And I think they're going to win by probably less than 6, but somewhere around 4 or 5 points in this game.
I will guarantee none of us will be watching this game when it comes on live.
I actually will, because I'll be on the East Coast. I'm in Philly. I'm Philly.
Whoa!
Eagles.
Giants.
AC, can you speak?
Yo, what's up?
That was weird.
What's going on?
You were like Static Man for like a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
is it okay now?
It's okay now. Reiterate it.
Okay, no. Well, I'm in Philly this weekend for Eagles Giants. Eagles home opener. Traveling 3,000 miles and across 2 countries for this game. But I'll be up early tailgating and stuff. So someone will have the game on because it's going to be around 10 Eastern where I'll probably be watching it. So I'll be watching this game. It's so hard to pick Europe, like the London games, because you just never know what you're going to get. But Baltimore has really impressed me, and I don't know what to think of the Jaguars just because their defense is going to have to win them the game every single time. And I just don't think it's enough with Bortles. And I think Baltimore, with their offense kind of clicking and their defense playing really well, I think you have to take them. But I'm always scared of picking anything when it comes to London games because it's a long way to travel for a week.
Yeah, I'm not 100% set on this one, or I wasn't until I saw the Jaguars-Titans game. And the defense got lit up in the second half, and they scored, Titans won 37-16. For the Ravens, they've been doing well offensively. Decent, solid enough. Not against some of probably the better competition in the league, but they've been competent enough to play some good football. And their defense has been very, very solid. I like what I saw out of them. For the Jaguars, been kind of hit or miss on the defensive side. One game you're seeing good potential, and the next they're getting blown up here. And then you have Blake Bortles. Pretty much enough said. I've said it 1,000,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000,001 times. This guy's terrible. There's no way he's going to lead a team to success. I get it. They're in London. That is a big thing for them. And the last time we had a London game, there was a tie. So it is very difficult to predict this game. I would love to pick a tie during the season. It won't happen. But I'm going to pick the Ravens. I have more confidence in them, and I think they are the more complete team by far. And that's what I have to do in these picks. So I go on Ravens. And I know Kevin's going to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What I am curious about here is the Ravens sometimes, to me, believe in their press clippings a little bit too much. So I'm going to be really interested in how well they do in this game against Jacksonville. I am picking the Ravens to win, not the Jaguars. I'm picking the Ravens to win. I've been impressed so far, and they should be on the right way. But this is a team that sometimes lets their ego get the best of them. So I'm going to be interested in that. But I'm a little concerned about the inconsistency of Jacksonville's defense against Tennessee, against better competition. So I will go with Baltimore in this one.
Okay, so we're all on the Ravens. The next matchup is the Denver Broncos in Buffalo. Broncos 2-0. Some would argue they're the best team in the NFL right now after smacking the Dallas Cowboys. giving them a good old, giving them the 1-2, laying the smackdown, whatever you want to say. The Broncos obliterated the Cowboys. I'm just going on and on about this just for Dylan's sake.
Hey, everybody ragged on Patriots week 1. That's okay. I'll take it.
It's okay.
I'll take it.
Broncos go to Buffalo for probably what's going to be maybe like a little eye-opener for the Broncos. I don't think they're really going to blow the Bills out in this game. The Bills have been competitive in 2 games, and especially at home, they're always competitive. This is a West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, so that's always a difficult thing to do. I think that the Bills' defense has been slightly overrated, or underrated, I should say, these first 2 weeks, and I think they are going to slow down the Broncos' offense a little bit more than the Cowboys were able to, or maybe even the Chargers. But I look at the Broncos. Their defense is ferocious. It's the best in the NFL. It's incredible. They aren't at home, though, where they have like a massive advantage. Their quarterback, Trevor Siemian's playing his best football of his life right now. Their running game, CJ Anderson's arguably playing his best football of his life. Their offensive line looks a lot better. Sanders had a great week last week. They look all around like a playoff contender. The Bills aren't that. The Bills aren't that, simply. But they're a competitive team. They're going to try their heart out. It's just not going to happen. I have the Broncos here. They're just better all around again. And I think they'll be able to, just defense will force a couple turnovers here and there that will put their offense in good position to score and kind of maybe win it by like 10 or so.
I want to see what the Bills produce this week. I have not. They've been one of the more low-key teams to not really produce anything in the first 2 weeks. But they are going to try very difficult, very hard against, I would say, the second best team in football. They had a very good performance against the Cowboys, no denying that. They have a very solid defense, though, that I think is going to absolutely crush the Bills. The Bills don't have that much talent outside of their quarterback and their running back department, and I think they're going to stop the running game once again on LaShawn McCoy. As for their defense, nothing terrible about the Bills, but some good things about the Bills. But I think the Broncos are the more complete team. Trevor Siemian's playing great football. And I think he needs to continue that stride going forward if this team wants to have legitimate success and be near the top of the rankings every week. And I think against the Bills team, compared to the Cowboys, I think he's going to have that same success. I don't think it's going to be as mind-blowing like you said, but I probably, I'm expecting maybe a 28-20 game, somewhere around there. But I'm picking the Broncos to win this game simply because they have the better team, and the Bills, I think, are going to be outmatched, especially when that defense comes up and Von Miller runs at you, and the secondary is going to come at you. I think it's going to be too much for the Bills.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Broncos here. What Mitch said too, though, I do think the Bills play very well at home, but I think they're just going to be outmatched here with the way Broncos is playing. And, Siemian looked decent at times last year, but I think working with Kubiak and knowing that he's the starter pretty much going in, I know there was talk of a lot of different quarterbacks, but he's proven. And I think it's just cementing that, not Kubiak, Vance Joseph. But a new coach has kind of helped him out. Vance Joseph, sorry, that was a Sergio Dip moment there. I should have known all about Vance Joseph with the Sergio Dip call. He's having the time of his life. He's having the time of his life.
It's the time of his life.
Yeah, and it's the time of his, as you see on the screen, and you're watching it. He is the best. But anyways, Broncos, it's weird the spread is only 3. We'll talk about this a different time. But I think it's because of how Buffalo plays at home.
AC,
but I don't think it's going to be enough.
We'll talk about this a different time until I bring it up right now. I took that on Tuesday. I'm just saying. I took that on Tuesday.
What? The 3 points, right?
I took the Broncos -3 on Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's an early bet.
For sure, because it doesn't make much sense there. But like I said, I think that's because Buffalo does play well at home. But if the Broncos even play like 75% of what they've been playing, it's going to take Buffalo to play out of their minds to beat them.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the 3. I was going to promote. So isn't there some sort of betting show on Friday on the Bottom Line View between AC and Mitch? They talk a little betting and stuff. Check that out. Cheap plug. Yeah, I'm going with Denver here. I think they are playing very well. They are my number 1 team. I know that there's a 1A and a 1B. My 1A is Denver right now. I just like the way that their defense is playing. Love the way that the statement game. They made a statement against the Cowboys, and Trevor Siemian's looking great. So yeah, I'm taking Denver.
Okay, we're all on the Broncos. Next matchup, the Saints in Carolina. I'm going to say right now, I have the Panthers. Watched the Saints play in entirety last week and actually the first week too. Not like what I've seen so far from the Saints, and that includes their offense. Their offense kind of wasn't very good at home against the Patriots defense that struggled mightily against the Chiefs in week 1. They scored 20, but they scored 7 with like 2 minutes left when the game was over. Classic Drew Brees and Sean Payton. But anyways, it seems like they don't know what their identity is in terms of like their offense, which is really weird. Without Willie Snead to be that number 2 target, they're kind of struggling. Ted Ginn drops every pass that he's thrown. Brandon Coleman did have a good game last week. I expect him to be more involved in the game plan, as well as Alvin Kamara, who I think will get more and more play as the season goes on because he is very talented. Mark Ingram should get all the running snaps, though, because Adrian Peterson is done, finished, RETIRE, like Eli Manning. Hang him up. At least Adrian Peterson is in the Hall of Fame. Eli, I'm skeptical. Defensively, the Saints are the worst or the second worst defense in the league. They don't know how to game plan. Like, seriously, they tried to play man on man against Gronk, and it just it was dumb. Yeah, so the Saints defense is bad. They played at home. They look terrible. Now they're going on the road. They're playing the Panthers. Not that the Panthers look much better, especially offensively, because they don't. Carolina is now missing their best receiver for the past 7 years in Greg Olsen. He's actually never missed a game until now, so that sucks. But Cam Newton is without his go-to guy. I expect more McCaffrey, more Benjamin, as I said on that show, the recap. But I think they're going to struggle initially without Olsen, and they've already been struggling. Cam needs to get his accuracy back on point. Their offensive line looks terrible. Their defense is very good. I think it's definitely top 10 in the league right now. Their front 7 is very good. I think they'll slow down the running game for the Saints, but I could see the Saints throwing the ball with some success. But at the end of the day, I think the Panthers defense is good enough for them to win this game. And the Saints defense is crap. I think the Panthers will be able to move the ball somewhat in this game and probably win it by at least a touchdown in this one.
I'm calling this right now. This is one of the worst games of the week. These two teams are just garbage in different ways. The offense of the Saints, which is weird to say at this time, usually it's the offense has its identity, the defense doesn't. They don't really know what they're doing. The defense is, I've said this before, they are the second worst defense in the league behind the Colts. It's just, there's nothing there. There is nothing there for this team. For the Panthers, Cam Newton cannot throw the ball. Simply enough, he cannot throw the ball. I think it is something to do with the injury, but this man cannot play. Their defense, though, has given up 3 points in the last 2 games. Both 3 points in the last 2 games. I have to pick the Panthers. Just only if it's because their defense. I think it's going to be too strong. The offense doesn't know exactly how to get through it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm taking the Panthers because I'm not sold on, obviously, New Orleans. It's hard enough. But I'm also not really sold on Panthers. They're obviously the worst 2-0 team because of the schedule. But I do like what they've been doing with their defense. And their offense has potential. And if you think about it, to be 2-0 with the way they've played offense is awesome for them. I think we could see a shootout in a way with New Orleans. Eventually New Orleans is going to have a game where they shoot out. They might lose, but they're going to still put up 40. You know what I mean? But what I will say is, just that defense is so bad for the Saints, and I think Carolina is going to win this one. And they're playing at home.
Yeah, home game for Carolina. It's interesting because this bad offense against this bad defense, and an offensive genius, Mitch Milani. You called Sean Payton an offensive genius, and
that's because he is.
But you don't understand the identity of the offense. So I'm curious about that.
I don't understand it because I don't understand why he continues to play Adrian Peterson. And I think that they're lacking. I think they're lacking talent this year compared to past years. Their tight end position isn't as good as it used to be. Their running back position is good, but they don't know who to play. Their wide receiver position, they're missing a number 2 target. They only have one good receiver. So, and their offensive line's banged up. Both their tackles are hurt. Their offense isn't as good as it has been the last 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years. This is the worst offense that Breeze has been in the past maybe 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I'm one that believes not that Sean Payton is a terrible coach, but his time is up in New Orleans. Anyway, that's one of the big things. I think look for Christian McCaffrey to have a big game. Look for this to be one of his breakout games. The Panthers will score 2 touchdowns at least and win 17-10, barely covering the spread.
Okay, so Kev's picking a low-scoring game between 2 NFC South teams. Again, we're all going with the Panthers. We seem to be picking the same teams right now, except that 49ers game. The next one, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Chicago Bears. Don't think that's going to change much. Chicago did play pretty good at home against a good team in week 1, so we got to give them that credit. But, again, another week, more injuries. Pittsburgh, though, they've looked decent. Their defense has looked improved, even though they haven't played any good quarterbacks yet. So, and they're not going to play one this week. So they go another week without playing a good quarterback. But the Steelers, you got to give them their credit defensively playing well, and defense does travel. Their pass rush has been pretty good, and their rush defense has definitely been good. In this one, I see the Steelers. I think this is going to be a closer game than people expect. Actually, I think this is going to be similar to the way that the Atlanta Falcons played against the Bears. The Bears, it's a tough place to play in Chicago, no matter who the team is. The Steelers and Big Ben offensively do struggle a lot more on the road. Le'Veon Bell still doesn't have his legs, right now. And if he does, it might change the game. But I just don't see this game being a big blowout like probably a lot of people think it's going to be. I think the Bears are going to stick around and they're going to make it competitive, but it's the same way that they beat the Vikings. I think they might just chip away a little bit towards the end and then take it. So I have the Steelers here, but I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
The Steelers have not played good competition. Let's be perfectly honest. Their defense has looked improved, which I've liked to see, but you also brought up the fact that the quarterback situation has not been solid. For me, when I look at these two teams, you have the Bears, who are incompetent, and I really don't understand why they haven't started Trubisky. I know they have to start Glennon because of the money that they gave him, but I think at this point, in the next couple of weeks, they have to be like, hey, Glennon's turning the ball over too much. Let's give Trubisky a chance here, and it might happen after this week. I think it could. It could be 3 strikes, you're out. And the Steelers, again, I think will be winning. I think they're one of the worst 2-0 teams just because they haven't played that much competition and they kind of haven't really showed out as much. They haven't balled out as much. So I still got the Steelers in this game, but not very high on this one just because I don't know what to expect from either team, whether the Steelers are going to blow them out or what is the Glennon situation. I don't know, but I'm still picking the Steelers. I got more confidence in them.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking this game a little with more confidence than you guys because as we've seen with this Ben Roethlisberger-led Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't really lose against the bad teams. You know what I mean? They'll lose those games to the Chiefs. They'll lose those games to the Patriots.
I completely disagree to you.
Every single time.
They lose to a bad team every single year.
Yeah, and so you're just saying right now it's going to be Chicago?
No, I'm not saying it's going to be Chicago, but I think it's going to be closer because they traditionally don't play that well on the road. And
I didn't say anything about that. I'm saying they win games against these teams.
They don't though. Sometimes they lose.
Let's just more often than not, probably around 80%, they win against these teams.
I'm sure. All I'm saying is I'm sure that I could find one game from the last 5 years that they lost.
Okay, but yes, one game in the last 5 years. What does that tell you? That's like 90%.
The last 5 years in a row.
Okay, but still, that's during a season. That's still 80% chance that they win those games.
Okay. But there is one of those games every year.
Yeah,
let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we don't need to go into that. It's this because this game's easier. It's obviously going to be Steelers. I don't get I think Pittsburgh, yes, they struggle on the road, but what you have to like about what Roethlisberger is doing is at least he's not turning over the ball. And we've seen in the past that he can turn over the ball. He's only thrown one pick, and he hasn't lost a fumble. I think he's maintaining it a bit, and I think it's just a matter of time before this offense gets going. But there's no way. Chicago is not a good team. Like, I would actually think the Browns are better than Chicago at this point. Yes, they have some good athletes on their team, but that defense is probably a bottom 5 defense in the league right now. They don't have a lot of talent. So that's why I'll take Steelers by a bit, 10. But you guys got your stats? You Googled it?
I'm looking. I just want to ask a question. Was the Miami Dolphins team last year? Does that count, or do they have too many injuries?
That counts.
Last season. That counts? Okay, so that's one.
When Miami Dolphins
no, actually, they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team.
Yeah, but they were.
But still,
they
that's
weren't
a
that
playoff
good.
team, dude. Dude, that's a playoff team. That's not a Chicago Bears team.
But at that time, it was like week 6, and everyone thought.
But it doesn't matter. It was still a playoff team.
That was like one of the first games that J.J.
Okay,
played.
if Chicago makes the playoffs and then they lose this game, we can't it's different. But like you guys are saying that a playoff team, a team that made the playoffs.
I never said it. I've never said it.
Is a bad team.
I would have to look it up. But
you guys seemed like you couldn't get it last year, so I think I'm in the head with that.
No, Dolphins were definitely one at that point in the season. They got killed by the Eagles, destroyed.
I was looking to see what the stats were.
I think, but that was without. I think Ben was not playing.
No, Ben was playing. They lost they lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Dolphins, and the Ravens. But that's a divisional game, so I'll give them that one.
Okay. Oh, so one against
that was
the Eagles.
just last year. That was just last year.
But that's one.
I don't want to look at the.
I didn't say that this is true. I was trying to be the stat guy. I was in the middle, right? And then
I'm just saying.
You didn't even bring up the Eagles, though.
But I mean that I was gonna say they were the worst team, but they still went what 8? Was it 7-9 last year?
7-9. But no, that's still like I'm talking.
You want me to look? Okay, I'll look up 2015.
No, don't worry about it. We're taking
it right here.
In this game.
I've got it right here.
I can't be here all night. Let's just move on. Kev, go ahead.
All right. Well, you know me and my love for Ben.
You're true
and stuff. Yeah. So you're going to be shocked here. You're about to be shocked. I think Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are going to have huge games. This Bear team is not good, especially against really tough competition. I think Pittsburgh is going to get their legs here. They've gotten off to a slow start. Bell's needs to get his legs going. Brown's going to get his going. This is my survivor pick. Steelers over the Bears is my survivor pick by 10. More, not as close as Mitch Malani thinks.
All right. Next, Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. Houston got a win last week against the Bengals. We haven't talked about them yet, but we'll talk about them in a bit. And it was Deshaun Watson's first ever win as a pro and first ever start. Watson now goes into New England. New England has had a lot of success against the Texans in the past. They beat them in last year's playoffs, although the Texans did give them a tough go. But the Patriots have traditionally beat them pretty often, and they seem to play like every year, which is odd. But the Texans, again, coming into New England, and they're like plus 13. They're like big underdogs in this game. Obviously, the Texans had a terrible first week where they got killed by the Jaguars. Second week, they played a really bad Bengals team, and they barely sneaked it out. And this week, they play New England. Their offense hasn't shown up. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the league, right there with the Seahawks, right there with the Giants. They're right there. Their run game, because of that, hasn't been ultra efficient. The only receiver that's gained any separation or been thrown a pass by Deshaun Watson, I think, is DeAndre Hopkins, because he just forces it. Their defense had a bounce-back performance last week. They got a lot of pressure on Cincinnati, as if nobody else could do that. But they got a lot of injuries last week. I mean, a lot of guys in the secondary went down. It seems like Jonathan Joseph is going to play this week, so that's a positive. But if they can do that, they can force Tom Brady out of the pocket, can force him and get him down and sack him. Then they're going to have a bit of a chance to keep this game close, but I just don't see it happening. New England's going to come out. I think they're going to win this game, and I think their defense is definitely going to have its best performance of this season. I think they're going to confuse Watson. I think they're going to force a couple turnovers. They'll stop the run, and I think that their offense is too good not to score on even a good defense. So I think the Patriots will win by 2 touchdowns plus in this game at home.
I want to know the record for Patriots versus Texans in the last 15 years. It can't be favorable for the Texans. I think they've almost lost every game. The Patriots are just a far better team. Look, this offense is it hasn't hit the Jets yet. The Patriots are an extremely better team. They got back last week. I know they got a couple of injuries on that receiver list, and that's what's kind of scaring me about this, but it's also the Texans, and they're currently favored by almost 14 on the spread. This is a no-brainer for me. If I had a survivor pick this week, which I don't, I would have picked the Patriots on this one, just because the Texans are nowhere near the level of the Patriots right now, and there's too much for this team to give to the Texans. So I got to pick Patriots.
Yeah, I'm taking, obviously, the Patriots. Houston, new quarterback. It doesn't seem like they can get their run game going as effective as they would like with Miller. This is a no-brainer. Patriots by a lot.
Fun trivia question for you. Who has the second worst defense in the National Football League?
Probably the Patriots.
Yes, they do.
Based off one game.
2 games.
2 games.
Yeah, but a lot of that was garbage.
They still gave up 400 plus against New Orleans.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but they only gave up 20 points. And at home.
You mentioned that this offense, New Orleans didn't have an identity offensively. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, but it's New Orleans at home.
Kansas City in New England went off on them. That doesn't mean I'm picking the Texans, but I do think that this game is going to be a bit closer than people think. I don't think it's going to be a super blowout. I can see this.
Are you going? I'm just wondering. Are you going by yards or points?
I'm going by yards, and you get even points. That's not spectacular. They've averaged 20.
Probably
right?
Not second.
It is second worst statistically.
I might have to add that up. I want to see this.
Points?
Well, in terms of yards, they are the second.
No, I'm talking about points, Kevin. I'm talking about points.
Well, I don't know about points.
That's
but
what I'm
yards,
saying. I'm gonna look it up. See, they gave up 42 in the first. That might actually.
Of course, they're second last in yards. They gave up like 1,000,000 yards in the first game. It was insane. Like 600.
Well, they're fourth last. They're fourth last when it comes to points per game.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
So, I don't know. I mean,
you
take the Patriots,
obviously, but it will improve.
You take the Patriots, but I don't know if they cover the spread at this point.
I just don't. The Texans' offense is so bad, man. Like, they've actually played some good offenses so far, and I'll excuse them for, even though the first week was terrible effort. Like, the second week, I thought they improved a lot, in a lot of areas. So I think they're just going to improve more this game and gain some confidence, because I don't see how the Texans are going to put up all those yards and those points on them. I just don't see it at all.
Okay. But the defense in Texas is a really good defense. So what's going to be interesting?
Patriots offense is really good too. So
yeah, but the Texans in that playoff game held their own against that Patriots offense. I'm not picking them to cover. I will pick the Patriots, but they're not covering.
Okay. Next game, the Atlanta Falcons are in Detroit to play the Lions, 2 undefeated teams so far. Lions got a big win on primetime Monday night at home. On the road, against the Giants. And Atlanta at home got the win over the Packers. Both impressive victories in their own right, even though the Lions were playing what looks like a crappy Giants team. Falcons beat a team that a lot of people think is going to go far in the playoffs in the Packers. And the Falcons look really good. And as I said in that recap, the Falcons have something about them. It's their speed. It's their scheme that gives the Packers a lot of issues. And we saw it in the NFC Championship. And even in the regular season last year, where they beat them twice in that year, and then they beat them this year. So, but Atlanta's now back on the road. This is going to be an easy transition for them because it's in a dome. But I'm going with the Lions here. Atlanta does need to lose a couple of games. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. And I like the Falcons. I like what I've seen from them. I think their defense is really improved. But I look at this game. I think this is going to be a huge win for the Lions. I think Matt Stafford's going to pull it out here. I like their offense in terms of a matchup against the Falcons defense, even though, like I said, I like the Falcons defense. I think Theo Riddick and Amir Abdullah in the passing game is going to be really big in this game. I think, Golden Tate and those receivers are going to make plays. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball somewhat in this game at home. Atlanta's not the same team on the road, even though this isn't a dome environment. Defensively, I've liked what I've seen from the Lions, especially with their pass rush. I think Atlanta's offensive line isn't as hot as people think. I think the Lions will be able to slow down their run game and kind of get after Matt Ryan a little bit. Just enough. I think Atlanta and Detroit will both score a lot of points in this game, but I think the Lions, because of that home field, because of the crowd, and because their defense, I've seen an improved defense overall. I think they're going to be able to win this game on the back of Matt Stafford.
I think this is a more complete team than what we were expecting. I think this has been more of a team effort through the first two games for the Lions. It hasn't all necessarily been on the shoulders of Matthew Stafford. I get they played the Cardinals and the Giants, but they put out some pretty good performances, and they pretty much exposed the Giants in every way, and they didn't really have to put that many points either. Their defense has gotten very solid. I love what Darius Slay brings to the table. If Ziggy Ansah can bring him the fire with those 3 sacks from last week, I mean, they do that again, that's going to be great stuff. You won't get 3, but you put in the pressure against Matt Ryan, it'll be good. Offensively, I think the Falcons might have a better full, complete offense, and I like what I see there, and I like the offensive line. The defense brings some good factors, so I could definitely see the Falcons winning this game, but I think a fourth-quarter comeback. I think we are going to see our first fourth-quarter comeback for Matty Stafford. Actually, no, he had the second. This will be his second one, but I think this will be his more prominent one, I should say. I think the Lions are going to win this game. Tough matchup. I like what I've seen out of them. So far throughout the season, I'm very high on Matthew Stafford, especially getting that paid contract. You got to put in the numbers, you got to put in the work in order to deserve that contract. And he's done it through 2 weeks. I think he's going to put on the max, put on the Jets, throw some high-quality throws down the field. And I see this as a good victory for the Lions to keep up in that NFC North.
Yeah, I'm taking okay, here's the thing. I like the Lions a lot more. To watch them, they're more entertaining. I like Stafford more than Matt Ryan, but I do think I did pick the Falcons to win that division, and I think they, some people did think that there was going to be some hangover, but I think they showed last game that they're going to put it together, and I think in the Dome, I think that helps them a lot. And I do like Detroit more than the Falcons, but I do think this is a loss for the Lions. And I think Atlanta moves on and wins and goes to 3-0. And the Lions are still going to be great. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. There's going to be some great games with them. But I do think Atlanta's offense is just starting to hit its stride. And what they did against Green Bay, even that defense in the first half played very well. I do think they come out with the win. It's going to be really close. Obviously, I can see Detroit winning, but just for picking sake, I'm going to take the Falcons.
I like a lot of the Lions. I think what I'm impressed with the Lions is they won with Stafford throwing 122 yards. So they found a different way to win, which is a good sign. I'm still concerned about that receiving core. I don't think they're as good as the Falcons. I think the Falcons right now are a bit more complete and on that rhythm. There's some things I'm concerned about with the Falcons, though, going forward. But I think that in terms of team speed and completeness, I'm going to go with Atlanta here. I just think they are the better team at this point, although it's lots to like about Detroit, but it is a short week, which concerns me as well. So I will take Atlanta.
Okay, interesting split there. So the next game we have Jacoby. You heard it right. I'm going with the Colts at home, baby. They should have won last game against the Cardinals. They should have won it. This week, Chuck Pagano, don't call stupid plays on your own goal line. Let your players play. Call the right plays, and then you might win the game. I know you're trying to lose, but try and win, okay? This 1 week. Jacoby Brissett is going to put on a performance. best performance of his career. They're going to beat the Cleveland Browns. You heard it here first, at home. Cleveland, still not a fan of the Cleveland Browns. Kaiser's been okay at moments, but he has the whole migraine situation. That kind of hurts. Corey Coleman's now out, which is a huge loss because he's his number one go-to guy. Their defense is a little improved, but I like the Colts in this game. I think, they proved a lot in that Cardinals game by being so close, and they should have won. And I think Brissett proved how much better he is than freaking Tolzien. I think this will be the game where T.Y. Hilton takes over and has, one huge, 60-yard touchdown.
I'm just looking back. Are you on crack? Are you picking in the Colts?
Do you realize that they're playing the Browns, the worst franchise in NFL history?
I don't give a shit if they're the worst in the organization. The Colts are the worst team in football. Look, I know they're going to have to probably win a game sometime, but I'm not picking them to lose here. I'm not picking I'm not picking the Colts to win this game. I'm picking the Browns to win this game. I think they're the better team. I think they've shown some good signs. They put in a big effort against the Steelers, almost won that game. The migraine situation, hopefully they get situated, take some kind of medicine or whatever. That's not a good situation at all. But Kaiser, minus those 3 interceptions, maybe due to that, has played some pretty decent football. Brissett, I like what I saw out of Brissett last week. I enjoy the guy. He has done some good things here, but that is the worst team in football. It's even worse than the Jets, and I have them going 1-15. I've got more confidence in these Browns to pick up this game. And I know there's going to be those games where it's like, you could pick the Browns or whatever, but it's the Colts. I'm picking the Browns. Anybody else on?
Hello?
I'll go. I'm going to go. Geez, this is a tough game because I want to like Jacoby Brissett, but I just feel like the Colts are a mess. And they just will. They should have won against Arizona, but they find ways to lose. And I think Cleveland finds ways to lose, but they're going to find a way to somehow not lose this game. So I'm going to stick with Cleveland here. And the Colts burnt me last week.
Adam. Is Adam on? Is he frozen?
Adam's frozen. Yeah. So okay. This is a good moment for us to check the chat and kind of go through all the stuff that's going on. We have a lot of comments here that we should get to. So I asked everyone, what's your picks for week 3? Raiders 8189 says Raiders 31, Skins 20. I think that's a pretty good score. We'll get to that pick in a little bit. Bodo names all the teams he thinks is going to win. Does he have the Colts? Yes, he
actually has. That's some bullshit right there.
Second City CM Punk says, is Pittsburgh's defense a good play this week? I would say yes. Sloth says, can all of you say what you think about the Steelers in the past 2 games? I think you've heard that by now if you stuck around. Donald J. Trump says, I think the Colts are going to go 3-13. So they're going to have to win a game at some point. Chrome says, good game, guys. Love you guys.
Thanks.
Bodo says, can anyone see the broadcast?
You're not going to be able to read all these.
Sloth says, do you think the Steelers can win the Super Bowl this year? They can, but I want to see more productivity out of their offense. What do you guys think about that?
They couldn't make.
No.
I had them going to the AFC Championship game. I just don't think they're going to be as solid enough to beat the Patriots.
I just don't think they're a good team against good competition. That's the bottom line. I think when they're faced with bottom line view. This is the bottom line view.
Devin Morris is really intense, but I think he's going to change his mind after me and Dilly pick the lines because he says the bottom line view, I love you chat and stuff. But please stop sleeping on the lines. We're going 16-0.
No, that I will tell you right now, buddy. Okay, love you. But they're not going 16-0. I like Matthew Stafford. He's probably my favorite. He's top 3 favorite quarterbacks in the league. But no.
Coach Milani said Denver's the number 1 in the AFC, strongest division in the league. For sure, it is. Yes.
I said that. Coach is brilliant. Brilliant.
Bodo said, well, the Pats have a quarterback. The boys don't. You can't pass 50 times with Dak and win. Garrett thinks he's always smarter than everyone else. Run. He did the same crap with Romo.
One bad game and everybody thinks it's the end of the fucking world. Welcome to the media. I love you, Bodo, but what the fuck, man? Dak is a good quarterback. That's what I'm saying right there.
Tyler Jones says Lions-Falcons will be a lot closer than Packers-Falcons was.
Wait, what?
He says Lions-Falcons will be closer than Falcons-Packers.
I said fourth quarter comeback, so yeah, probably. You're going to have to pick and choose which ones are correct here.
Yeah, I'm going through.
There's a lot of stuff on here.
Mitch Eli will get in because of his 2 rings.
Yeah, unfortunately. He shouldn't. He really shouldn't.
And he played in New York. And I do think
Coach Milani says Panthers by 10, Steelers by 6.
Coach!
Donald J. Trump says Sean is a genius. Drew is still good. With a decent defense, they could be a top 12 team.
Maybe.
Tyler Jones says Pat's definitely taking this one.
Def.
Trump says I'm interested in Bengals Packers. I think the Bengals can still get a touchdown.
Still can't get a touchdown.
Or still can't get a touchdown. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Must start of the week between Demaryius Thomas and Devontae Parker.
I would say Thomas.
I think Thomas is definitely the safer option. I think Parker has a lot of upside in this matchup against the Jets. I'll say this. If it's a standard league, go with Parker. If it's a PPR, go with Thomas.
I agree. I would agree with that.
Oach says Forte for Riddick. I would take Riddick.
I would definitely take Riddick in this game.
Okay, so now that we're halfway, AC lost his internet, he said. Is he back yet?
He is not back yet.
Okay.
No.
We'll go to the next game, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if Sam Bradford's playing. I don't think he's playing. Therefore, I'm going with the Bucs. It's really as simple as that. I think the Vikings, this would be an excellent, not just a good game, but an excellent game. Very close. I think the Vikings could even win it with their quarterback, but without their quarterback, I think the Bucs are too strong. The Vikings won't be able to keep up on the scoreboard. Vikings sneaky home field, actually. It's a pretty tough place to play. Bucs had a really impressive week 1 for them. Week 2, I see a lot of the same things working. I think Mike Evans will have a tough matchup in this one. I expect Deshaun Jackson to maybe get in the end zone this week. Also, I hope to see those tight ends get in the action. Defensively, I've been impressed the first week with the Bucs D. I thought that was kind of the sleeper part of their team. Those linebackers are really good. Defensive line's underrated. I think they take control of the Vikings offense. They get after the passer. They stop the run pretty good. I think the Bucs are going to have a good game in this one. And even though the Vikings are without their quarterback, I think they'll put up a decent fight like they did against the Steelers.
Sam Bradford practiced today, and he says he's 50-50 on this game. That said, I'm not taking those odds. They burned me last week because I didn't know this injury was happening until it happened. But I got to go. I got to go with the Buccaneers. I really wanted to see this game. Like earlier on in the season, I thought this was going to be one of the best games because I really liked what the Buccaneers were bringing to the table. But I think it's as simple as Sam Bradford can't be in the game. Buccaneers defense, very solid. Jameis Winston, solid production last week. Not great. Want to see some good things. That defense might be some sketchy things here. But again, if Case Keenum is your quarterback instead of Sammy Biscuits, you're not winning the football game. So, got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm going with Tampa Bay too. I just think they have too much to, even with Bradford, too much to really, at this point, to give for Minnesota offensively and defensively. So I will take Tampa Bay as well.
I actually don't think the Vikings will be overwhelmed with the Bucs offense. I think the Vikings will force some mistakes with their defense. I just think it's going to be too much. Case Keenum won't be able to go back and forth. Once the Bucs start to move the ball, that's basically going to be the end of it because has Case even ever won a game?
Well, he's had to have won something, right?
Look it up. Has he won 1 or 2? How many games has he won? 2?
Let's see. Case. I'll figure it out. Just a second.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the next game, though. We're all on the Bucks. Next one is the Dolphins at the New York Jets. Let's face it, guys. It's the New York Jets. They're at home. Okay, they got a slight chance. It's a divisional game. But I'm going with the Dolphins. I like what I saw from the Dolphins, specifically their run game. I think that's going to come in handy against the Jets. Jay Ajayi looks like the legit real deal. Jay Cutler looked pretty good last week. Was hitting Jarvis Landry. Good thing to note for fantasy owners. He likes passing to Jarvis Landry. That's good. He also loves airing that ball out. I think he's going to hit a couple deep passes to guys like Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker. So if you have those guys, there's a good chance that they're going to perform for you in fantasy. And the Dolphins defense ain't too bad. I think, it's right around at least what the Raiders defense is, maybe a little bit better. The Jets did pretty well against the Raiders on the road, like in terms of scoring points. So if they can do that again, they have a shot. But I think the Dolphins are just a better all-around team. They're going to control the game with their run game, and I think that's going to be pretty much it.
Case Keenum is 9-16 in his career.
He's won 9 games. Wow. Okay.
Surprisingly,
maybe that's a different quarterback that I'm thinking of.
He won 2 games for Houston, 3 games for St. Louis 2 years ago, and last season 4 games. So
okay,
they went 3-1 last season. What the hell? For the Jets Dolphins game, Jay Cutler, surprising performance last week. Right? They played the Chargers. I kind of like what the Chargers are doing. Mitch is making me like them, not as much, but you have this Dolphins team that is competent, and Jay Cutler, through one game, played a pretty decent game through stats. The Jets don't provide much to the table. Jermaine Kearse, I think, will have a big game. But otherwise, I see the Dolphins picking up this victory. I said this could be one of those games that the Jets pick up a W earlier on when I did this 0-16 video, but I think it's going to be too much for them. And the Dolphins, I think, are more a complete team with the defense. And I think the Jets are trying to do maybe the same scenario as the Colts where they're just kind of tank. I got to go with the Dolphins. Kev.
Yeah, I still not a Jay Cutler fan. I actually like Josh McCown better than Jay Cutler. I do like Jermaine Kearse. But it's just unfortunate that the Jets don't have a lot. But the Dolphins have a lot of weapons, and this should be a good way. They realize they'll be 2-0 to start the season, the Miami Dolphins. So competing early with the New England Patriots for the AFC East. We won't expect that to continue, of course, but should be a good win for the Dolphins by 10 points.
The next matchup is the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This game is playing in Philadelphia. Sad to see that AC isn't here to talk about it, but I think his team's going to win this one. I'm very confident in this pick. I think the Eagles' defensive line is going to be just too much for the Giants' O-line. They can't block. Their left tackle situation is the worst in the league. It's just like terrible.
Eric Flowers,
Ryan
baby.
Manning needs to R-E-T-I-R-E. Like I've been saying, retire, Eli. You're done. OBJ, I hope he really doesn't play, to be honest with you. Just rest. There's no need playing when your quarterback can't pass you the ball anyways. Their run game's bad. Their offense is awful. The Giants' defense is good. I think they will contain the Eagles' offense. But Carson Wentz is going to make a couple plays like he has been doing the past couple of weeks against a good Chiefs defense. And in week 1 against the Redskins, the Eagles still need to get that run game going a little bit. But I like what I've seen from the passing game. They're pretty creative in that regard, using Darren Sproles and the 3 receivers that are basically replicas of each other, but just different assets. Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Nelson Aguilar, basically the same guy, except Alshon Jeffrey is stronger and bigger and better. Torrey Smith is faster than everyone, and Nelson Aguilar is quicker than everyone, but they're all the same receiver. Very odd. Zach Ertz is having the season of his career. I think that he has another good game here. And I think the Eagles take it, and that defensive line, like I said, just too much for the Giants.
Their front 7 can contest with the top 5 defenses in football. Their secondary, not so much. They're decent, but they're not going to hold up. But this is a broken, Matt Hardy broken Giants team. that doesn't bring much to the table. Eli Manning, I've always said it. Will say it. I'll say it again. Just like Bret Hart. Most overrated quarterback of all time. I think this guy has done not as much to the table in his career that everybody says he has, and this season is proving it to huge degrees. Their offensive line is trash. Eric Flowers, block somebody. Their rushing game, not great. Brandon Marshall can't catch a football. I think his career is pretty much almost done, which is sad. I didn't think it was going to happen earlier on in the season, but if he continues to play like this and drop footballs, not good. OBJ, like Mitch said, don't play. For the Eagles, I was very impressed last week. Even though they lost that game, their front seven of the defense is amazing. I really like what they see to the table on that one. Carson Wentz threw a lot of incompletions last week, but I still saw him as a good quarterback trying to play against a defense that was very solid. And they were the number one team in football. They're still the number one team in football as of week 3. And they held their own for most of the game until they lost at the very end. So they tried their best. I think they played a solid game for the most part, and their defense is going to bring it. I'm predicting 7. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks for the Eagles. I'm dead serious. Eagles win this game.
You realize that if you two are right, the Giants will be 0-3.
You're damn right. I'm looking at it as what do I see right now, not as what my picks were early on.
I'm just putting that out there. They're going to be 0-3. I'm assuming AC is taking the Eagles. But the part of my concern with this game is it's a home game against a division opponent. Ben McAdoo ripped into Eli Manning. So he's going to be fired up. This team is going to be fired up. This team is bad, but I don't think they want to believe that they're as bad as they think they are. So I think they're going to come out flying against the Eagles. But all that being said, I still look at the Eagles as a more complete team. And I do see the Giants going to 0-3, and I pick the Eagles to win this one 24-20. 24-21.
Interesting. Mitch?
Okay, next matchup, Seahawks, Titans. I'll let Kev Ole break it down.
I'm gonna hear this one.
Well, let's start with the Titans. I think they came out against Oakland. They have watched their press clippings. A lot of people were kind of thinking of them as a sexy underdog, including me. #313. And I think they had everything going. And Oakland walked in and they beat the brains out of them. Quite frankly, dominated their game and run, dominated offensive line. Receivers got open. Jacksonville, that game was 6-3. They either benched or DeMarco Murray was hurt, depending on your perspective. Derrick Henry ran the ball, and they took over, and they got that game going. But to be quite frank and honest with you, I still don't know what I'm looking at the Titans right now. I don't know if they can throw that deep threat. I'm not convinced about the receiving core. Seahawks, we've talked about this offensive line. It's one of the worst in football. However, I will remind everyone that they ran the ball the last 4 minutes and 49 seconds. It took the game over with Chris Carson in that offensive line. Chris Carson is legit. Chris Carson is the real deal. I think he's got a real chance to be the offensive rookie of the year. Russell Wilson needs to get it together, no question. Throwing a lot of overthrown balls, not only last week, but the week before. Needs to figure out if they want to be a little bit more of that up-tempo offense. When they're in the red zone, they got to score touchdowns. They can't leave points on the board, especially in this game. Front seven's been outstanding. Richard Sherman is still injured. But, look, I know I suspect you two and you three are going to – and Anthony and the world is going to go against me, but I'm still sticking with the Seahawks here. I think the big thing with my concern with the Titans is this receiving core is not as good as people think right now. Corey Davis has been a little bit of a disappointment. Marcus Mariota didn't have a lot of fantastic stats last week. So I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball against the Seahawks, which I think you have to do to win. They may be able to run the ball, but I think the Seahawks can still run the ball. I think the Seahawks defense is better than the Titans defense. And I know it's a road game, but I got the Seahawks.
The good thing to back up that claim is that Corey Davis is out this week, so he's not going to be even playing in that game. Look, last week we saw a 12-9 performance from the Seahawks. Not very high on that. And I'm not going to say it's going to carry over into the next couple of weeks. They're playing a Titans team that scored 37 last week. Again, not saying that's going to happen, but two wildly different wins for these teams. And I think the Titans looked more impressive. You had it, and those are against two teams that are very struggling in their own assets. And I would say, that the Jaguars defense is way better than the 49ers defense. And they still put up 31 points in the second half. I got to go with the Titans here. I still want to see this Seahawks team win. This is one of those games that even when I was predicting earlier on during our previews, I was like, not exactly sure where I want to go with this one particular game. But I see the Titans as a fuller, stronger team. Mariota hasn't put up the great stats, and that might be a little bit more difficult as the defense of the Seahawks is still very good regardless of the struggles of their offensive line. But I think the Titans' defensive line is going to get to Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson has made plenty of mistakes in the first 2 weeks. And I want to see that diminish. I want that to get more tight as the season goes on. But I look at it as this matchup, and I see the Titans just outreaching the Seahawks right now. That's as if I'm looking at it from a 3-week eye lens and everything. I see it as the Titans right now are simply the better put team, both offense and defensively combined, than the Seahawks.
What about the game against Oakland? Like, what happened against Oakland now? Like I get it, okay? I get you saw the second half against the Jacksonville Jaguars and they put up 31 points and you're feeling good and you think that they're looking better. But they faced a competitive Oakland Raider team that people are thinking are in the playoffs and home field, and they didn't play well enough to win.
Those are two teams that I thought were going to make the playoffs to begin with, Kev. And I thought the Tennessee Titans got outmatched in certain aspects, and I think they fixed it up in week 2. And I think they had the better bounce-back performance in a win. Seattle did not have a better bounce-back performance than after their loss against Green Bay.
Okay.
I see it.
For me, I have the Tennessee Titans winning this game, mostly because I can't trust an offensive line traveling on the road that can't block. They couldn't block at home. And like I always say, bad offensive lines don't travel well. So for me, I look at the Titans, even though they performed poorly against a good team, which I think the Seahawks are still a good team. But until that offensive line improves, I can't pick them to beat a team like the Titans that I think is going to go to the playoffs. And then I look at what happened to their defense against the run. And what did the Titans do better than anything? They run the ball. That lets Marcus Mariota work everything off of that. And I think they're explosive enough to put up enough points to the point where they can win this game. I don't think they're going to overwhelm the Seahawks defense. I don't think any team really does, but I think they're going to score enough points, probably somewhere between 17 points, something like that. And they'll win this game because the Seahawks can't block. And yeah, they ran a little bit better, but they still can't pass. And the Titans can at least stop the run pretty effectively. And they have a couple of good pass rushers in there. I think Jarrell Casey can get that pressure right up the middle, which the Seahawks really can't block. Arakpo off the edge, Morgan off the edge. I think the Titans are going to take this game. Until I see the Seahawks improved in that regard, I can't take them against a good team, especially when that good team's at home.
I'll say this. This will be my run response. If it's down the last play of the game, I'm going to take Russell Wilson over Marcus Mariota. You can look at all the fatal flaws, including Russell Wilson has had this year. I still would take him over Marcus Mariota in the last play of the game. And I think this game is going to be too close, and that's why I'm sticking with the Seahawks. And my heart is involved in this. I admit it.
Kev's heart is in it. All right. The next one we have is the Cincinnati Bengals, Green Bay Packers. This is my survivor pick. Whoa! I have the Green Bay Packers at home, which is usually pretty comfortable. And they're not playing the Atlanta Falcons this week, so I'm pretty happy about that one. They're playing the dog crap of the league in the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, their defense played not bad, but Aaron Rodgers will slice and dice this defense apart. He's going to be angry. He's going to come out. He's going to dish to his receivers. Ty Montgomery's going to have a good game. Their defense at home always a little bit better. I think the Bengals, another fatal flaw with the offensive line, can't block. I think if Mike Daniels plays, hopefully he does, he'll take over and he'll get some pressure. And I think, that defense will generate some pressure a little bit, and that will kind of hide the fact that their secondary is not good. So I think that the Packers will take this game and take it easy.
Hey, AC actually picked the Seahawks. So congratulations, you have somebody on your side, Kev. You know who doesn't have anybody on their side? The Cincinnati Bengals. Garbage is the word I would most describe this team. But that's just going into the lighter terms. This team's awful. Andy Dalton not playing a good season whatsoever. Their defense played decently enough, but it's also against a very, 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 very struggling team in the Houston Texans, and their offense especially. And you're going against the Packers, who I've stated before, they do not need to relax whatsoever. They need to do something. But as I stated in the video, they're playing two pretty easy opponents the next 2 weeks. Playing the Bengals, playing the Bears at Lambeau. Not in this game. They're not playing. Wait, they are playing at Lambeau this week, right? Pretty sure. So, okay, so that's even easier. I can't see. If I had to pick another, this would be my other closest survivor pick would be one of those two games. But even with their struggles, there's no way this Packers team loses to an incompetent football team like the Bengals. So yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Here's the thing. You pick the Packers here, but you don't get admired with the Packers. There's still a lot of issues. There's still a lot of concerns. And I think
I agree. But they're playing the Bengals.
They're playing the Bengals. Marvin Lewis I think people are saying it. I don't know if Marvin Lewis survives the season, quite frankly. I think that's a big question in Cincinnati. Defense is okay. They're not using their rookies enough. They don't have a lot of confidence in them. And you just cover AJ Green and all will be good. And so you take the Packers.
Pretty much.
Okay, the next game we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the LA Chargers, which is my pick for game of the week. This is going to be really entertaining. These two teams really have really entertaining games in the past. I remember last year, week 1, that was a game where Keenan Allen again got hurt. But it was really, really good. I think it was like 35-31 or something like that in San Diego. It was a really good game. And typically they have good games. And typically they're high scoring. Chargers know how to move the ball against this team. They know how to move the ball in general. They're back at home. I think they will do that against a good Chiefs team. I think the Chiefs will also move the ball against the Chargers. But the Chargers are going to win this game, baby.
Stop.
Stop. They need to win. They're gonna get that. They're gonna get lucky in this game. Okay, they've been unlucky the last 2 weeks. The Chiefs,
Young Hoku is gonna fuck them over again.
The Chiefs are gonna come back down to earth a little bit. They're gonna have a divisional loss in this one, which does happen in the NFL, dilly vanilly. And Phillip Rivers is again gonna lead a freaking drive down the field, but instead of them kicking with Young Ho, they're going to go all the way to the end zone, and they're going to get a touchdown from Antonio Gates. You heard it here first. LA Chargers winning 1-2. And like I said in the last video, a team the last 4 years has made the playoffs after starting 0-2. It's rather going to be the Chargers or the Giants. One of these teams is going to win this week. I'm going with the Chargers at home.
This guy's delusional. They beat the Patriots and the Eagles, and they're going to lose to the Chargers. That's my opinion on that. But this Chiefs team is they're really good. They're my number 1 team in the football league right now. Alex Smith played some pretty good football last week as well. I mean, week one was a standout performance for him, one of his best career games. But week 2, he still played pretty good. He got a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure, and I think that's going to diminish this week. They're still playing with Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa. That's going to give him a little bit of pressure. That's going to be a problem for him. But I think they're the more overall complete team. I think this is a team it's already had 2 pretty hard teams to beat. They've beaten both of them. And now you're going against the Chargers. And I know the Chargers at home. It's a division opponent. So That could play into factors. Younghoe Koo, I don't think will play into this factor here. Where the Chargers have been extremely unlucky when it comes to close games. 11 losses with 1 possession in the last 2 seasons. 11. So I've got to pick I got to pick the Chiefs, I should say. The Chiefs. I got to pick the Chiefs, no question. And Kareem Hunt will have a great game again.
Do you know why I think Denver is better than Kansas City right now? I'm going to tell you why. Because I think that Denver is on a mission. Denver knows what they're doing. And Kansas City was in this position before. They walked into New England. They thumped the Patriots, and everyone was like, hail Kansas City. And Bill Belichick said, we're off to Cincinnati. Listen, I don't think the Chiefs are as good as people think. They're getting there, but they're not there. And they're about to go down to earth. I think the Chargers win. They've been close on 2 occasions here. Koo, Woo, Who, whatever his name is. Sorry.
Younghoe Koo.
I know. Mitch and I should figure out his name and how to say his name more.
Somebody say his damn name correctly.
But here's the thing. I think the loss of Eric. This is a game where I think the loss of Eric Berry is going to hurt the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Melvin Gordon. I do think the Chargers have a lot of more weapons, and I think people realize this game is at home, divisional game. I just think the Chargers will. This is a game that I think the Chiefs will trip up on. I think the Chargers win this one, 24-20.
AC has the Chiefs, so he's at least in.
Losers! All right. The next game is the Oakland Raiders at the Washington Redskins. Should promise to be another really, really fun game to watch. 2 offenses that are going to go back and forth. This game's in Washington, but Washington just hasn't impressed me enough for me to pick them in this game. I think the Raiders are, again, the more complete team. Derek Carr looks on fire. Their offense is a well-oiled machine at this point. Michael Crabtree, great stuff from him so far. Mari Cooper's going to have a better game in this one. I think that Norman will actually take Crabtree in this game, and I think that will open up Cooper. And their defense has been, it was really good week 1. Week 2 kind of went back down to earth a little bit, but if they can slow down the run and force Washington to be one-dimensional, that's going to, Washington will still be able to move the ball, and I think that they will, and they'll score points. I think both sides will, but I think the Raiders, I just like that offense. It's too elite. The quarterback, too elite, and this team is good. And if Klomack can make 1 play on defense or 2 plays that changes this game, I think the Raiders are going to walk away with it. I think they'll win by about 10 points. I actually think it's going to be a decent margin in this game.
I told y'all they were going to the playoffs, baby. I'm telling you, they're going to the playoffs. So I like this team. I like what the Raiders provide. Derek Carr, good quarterback, very solid quarterback, one of my favorites in the league. Running game, been pretty decent, not great, not outstanding, but they're providing some good plays. The receivers, I'm always high on Amari Cooper. Michael Crabtree's been one of my favorite receivers of almost the last decade. I don't understand why Cavill don't like him, but still good receiver combo. But bro, you cannot shake your head after. Are you going to tell me he didn't have a good performance last week? 3 touchdowns. Defense. I don't like the fact they didn't give up. They gave up a lot of points to the Jets, but I also think they were kind of relaxed and they won by 25 points. So I'm not overlooking that too much there. For the Redskins, I actually picked the Rams to win last week, so that kind of shows you where I was thinking in terms of how the Redskins are. Running back, if I believe that's how you say it, if Perrine gets in a lot more touches, I think that's going to be a nice combo with him and Thompson. Sorry, Kelly. The receiver group, I think, is not that good this season. Doxson has been hurt or not been doing as well. Crowder has not been doing as great. Jordan Reed, you can clearly tell, is still injured. That's been a problem. Their defense has been mediocre. It's one of the middle teams in football. But if we're looking at it as a standout between 2 teams here, I think the Raiders are far better matched in this situation, and I think they're going to beat the Washington Redskins. I believe that score, though. I think with Mitch, I think 10 points is pretty solid. 10 to 14 points in this game. Not a great Sunday Night Football game, but I think the Raiders are going to be too matched. I don't know how our review's going to go, though, since we no mercies this Sunday. So I don't know.
I think this will be a great game. I think this will be the best of the 3 Sunday nighters so far. I think it's going to be high scoring. Can we say Marshawn Lynch is the early nominee for Comeback Player of the Year? Doing very well. Give him credit for that. Still a lot of concerns about this Raider defense. That's why I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Kirk Cousins is a really solid quarterback. He'll find ways to get people involved. Going with the Raiders here, I think a 35-28 shootout will happen, and it'll be fun to watch. I think it's a great game with a lot of history between the two as a previous Super Bowl matchup as well. So remember that.
Interesting. Okay. And the last game we have here to discuss is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Arizona Cardinals. Then we'll get to your questions and stuff like that at the very end. Dilly Vanilli.
Okay. So last week we saw the Cowboys play the Broncos, and a lot of things happened. A lot of things to discuss. I already talked about it in our recap on Tuesday night, last night, if you guys want to check that out. But mostly it came down to the Broncos defense was amazing, and our defense was either injured or complete shit. Here's the thing, though. They are going from playing one of the top at least 3 teams in football right now to one of the top 5 worst teams in football. This is a very favorable matchup for the Cowboys, even with injuries. Carson Palmer has not played good football. He threw 3 interceptions last week against the Colts team. The Colts, it's not very a good matchup for the Arizona Cardinals because they haven't done anything. Let's be honest. They have no David Johnson, one of their biggest threats. They maybe even their biggest threat besides Larry Fitzgerald in the receiving game. The Cowboys team, I think Dak will have a comeback game. They're going to have some favorable matchups in the next couple of weeks. They're playing the Cardinals team, then they're playing the Rams right after. So that's going to help them out in this situation. I think that it'll be a couple more games to comfort themselves before they're going to have to take up more big steps. I think last week was kind of like, a hit moment where you're going to have to step up your game to play against some of the best teams in football. And I don't think it was really the offense's problem. I think they were playing a really solid defense that stood up against the pack. It was just that our defense, their defense was amazing, and B, our defense is trash. I think consider it one of the top 10 worst in football. And with injuries, it was even worse. So, and this is a comeback game pretty simply. They're playing on Monday Night Football too, so an extra day to prepare and get over the loss. And you're playing the Cardinals team that almost lost to the Colts in overtime. I got to go with the Cowboys. And AC, also for the first time this season, is picking the Cowboys.
I'm not a fan of anything the Cardinals are doing. Carson Palmer is terrible. They missed David Johnson immensely. Their receiving core, other than J.J. Nelson, is weak, but you know that J.J. Nelson is going to have a good game. Their defense is good, maybe, but I just don't know what the Arizona Cardinals are. I'm not a big fan of Bruce Arians, but I have a lot of concern about the Cowboys, quite frankly. I think they need to play very well here to get back into this rhythm. They didn't show a lot last week in a game that a lot of people thought was going to be very competitive. They got blown out against a top team. Ezekiel Elliott comes away with 8 yards, less than Tom Brady. So I know he's going to have a comeback game. I'm concerned about that receiving core, and I think that the Cowboys don't create a lot of turnovers. Which is another concern.
That's very true.
That's another concern here. They'll have an opportunity to create turnovers because Carson Palmer is either colorblind, doesn't wear glasses, or throws blindfolded. I'm not sure what those issues are, but they are all there. The Cowboys will win, but I do think this would be closer than people think. I've got a 7-point victory for Dallas. I do have some concerns about this Cowboy team. I got to be honest. I did pick them to win the NFC East, but I don't think Des Bryant is an elite receiver anymore. And
I would agree with that.
Jason Witten is your key guy. I think you can take him away. And if Elliott isn't going, this team isn't going. I think Elliott's more valuable than Prescott. Although I'm not a fan of Elliott's plan, but that's a whole other side issue, whatever. But I do think the Cowboys do win.
Spoiler, this is one of my bets as well. I have the Cowboys -3. as do I have the Broncos -3. So I'm taking the Cowboys in this game. I think it's a bounce-back performance, but I think they just fell into a team in Denver that's too good. Like, they just every way imaginable, they are the worst matchup possible for the Cowboys. They're like the Giants last year on steroids. So, yeah. This week, I think the Cowboys will have a better game, but I don't really expect their offense to be all the way back because I'm still a believer in that Cardinals defense, and they've shown that at times this season. I think, especially against the run game, Zeke's going to have a tough time, but I think he'll definitely have a better game than last week. And I think, especially towards the end, I think when they're leading in the game, he'll kind of come on a little bit, but I think it will be tough sledding for him early on. I want to see that Dez Patrick Peterson matchup. It's going to be interesting. But I think that overall, this is going to be a bounce back game for Dak overall. And I think he's going to have his best game of this season so far. It sucks because they played 3 good defenses in a row. But their defense, I think the Cowboys will have a little bit of bounce back due to the fact that they're playing the Cardinals. They're playing Carson Palmer, who also needs to retire and retire. Larry Fitzgerald, is he invisible? I don't know where he's been because of Carson Palmer. If the Cowboys don't give up deep balls to Jerron Brown and J.J. Nelson, they should be okay. Their defense, I think, will get back on track. They'll be able to shut the run game down no problem, I think, in this one. I think that will be a real big thing of emphasis this week because of what happened last week. I think they'll be able to shut it down this week. No David Johnson, no problem for the Cowboys defense. And I think that the Cowboys will bounce back and probably win by at least a touchdown, maybe 10 points. So those are the picks this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Overall, what are our survivor picks this week, Kev?
Mine is Pittsburgh. Going into Chicago, who is John Fox is 0 in September in his career as Chicago Bears head coach.
Interesting. Mine is the Green Bay Packers against the shitty Cincinnati Bengals. Where did we stop with these comments?
I gotta pull it up here. By the way, I do not have a survivor pick because I'm fucking out again.
Okay, here we go. Coach says Sam is starting Vikings by 7. So I don't know if he is starting or not. I have no idea. But if he is starting, then the Vikings could win. I could see that. Dolphins by 10. Tyler Jones says Case was good in college at least. He played good versus the Colts once. Bodo said, I think everyone's played good against the Colts. Fish by 10, maybe as long as they run. JETS, like someone said, Jets stand for just end the season.
Yep.
Derek Milani says Eagles by 7. Wentz looks good. Tyler says, what was that? Eli's the luckiest quarterback ever. Bodo says Wilson is the most overrated. How do you feel about that?
Whoa!
Romo and Dak, a close second.
Shut the fuck up.
What happened, Bodo? We were friends before. What did you do?
He just tried to wreck both of us in two sentences.
We just not become best friends.
Oh my God!
You want to play garage?
Titans will turn the ball over and the Hawks will win by 3. Tyler says he's going with the Titans in a close game. He's going with the Packers. Coach is going with the Packers in 10, but says start Bernard in garbage time.
Fire Lewis. Fire Lewis as well.
Tyler Jones has signed Nate Keating again.
Yes! Love that.
Bodo says Bolts always find a way to lose.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Coach says Raiders Marcus Allen for 55-yard run for the win. Raiders by 6. Yes. Raiders over the Redskins, says Tyler Jones. Bodo says odds are at least one of these 2-0 teams will lose. Vegas has 10 visiting team favorites this week.
Well, one of them has to lose because the Falcons and Lions are playing against each other. But yeah, you're correct.
Tyler Jones says Crabtree game-winning catch versus number 1 Texas in 2008 was a clutch catch. Kev said he never had a clutch catch.
This is my favorite comment because it's 100% true, and I remember exactly where I was at this
in
game.
the NFL. What happened with Richard Sherman? That's all I'm going to say. Richard Sherman.
Yeah, but you're talking about Richard Sherman, one of the greatest corners ever.
You put Crabtree on me. I'm the best corner in the game.
But he ain't a sorry-ass receiver like Sherman said. He ain't
a sorry-ass receiver.
Kev just hates him from that moment.
I know.
Coach says boys by 7. Tyler Jones says Cowboys for sure. Zeke will have a big game, bounce back. No David Johnson comments. Vaughn Hook's in the chat. What's going on, Vaughn Hook?
Vaughn.
Kevel says plan the parade for the Flames. They lost to the Canucks 5-3 in preseason. He says plan the parade. Plan the parade.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, they had the far more experienced team because the Canucks are in China. So kudos to the Canucks. And just on a side note, Brock Besser should be on this team. He's
certainly on the team.
If he's not on the Canucks team, there's something wrong with this. And look out for Jake Virtanen.
Are you guys talking about underwater basket weaving? That's the only other sport I care about. So,
Vaughn Hook says Rams or 49ers. I have the 49ers. Kev has the 49ers. AC has the Rams. And Dylan has the Rams. Bodo has the Rams as well. All right, that's where we'll leave you. Check out the Stardom and Sit 'em this week, coming out very soon. Thank you guys for the great stuff on that. We've been doing excellent in terms of that. Subscribe to the channel if you have not and you're just catching this for the first time. And also like the video so that these spam dislikers can go away. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's Mitch, Kev, and Dilly Vanilli. Peace.